Today I have Soho Skwishy yarn. It's so soft, plushy, and squishy, and we're gonna use this to make a headband. So the first thing you'll need is your squishy yarn. You'll need an H8 crochet hook, and you'll need a tape measure. You may or may not need a sewing needle to finish this project. And the color squishy I have right now is called Lilac. So let's get started. We're gonna pull from the center. Now I have a slip knot on my hook. So the next thing that you're gonna do, because we're crocheting in the round, is you're gonna chain 18 stitches. So now we have this nice chain, and we're gonna close it off as a circle. So we wanna make sure that this does not get twisted when we bring it around into a circle. I'm gonna go right into that first loop that was made when we started crocheting. And so I'm gonna need to do a slip stitch to close off this circle. I'm gonna wrap once, and I'm gonna pull it through everything. So through that loop and through the loop that I last worked. So now I have just this circle, and our headband is actually gonna be a tube, and we're gonna close the ends at the end. So we have finished closing in this loop. We're gonna chain one more. So now we're going to start by single crocheting around. So we'll single crochet around this whole round, and if you're new to crocheting, the way you single crochet is by inserting your hook, wrapping the yarn, and pulling it through. So now you have two loops on your hook. Then you're gonna wrap the yarn again and pull it through those two loops. So now you're back where you started, but you have one more stitch there, and those are called single crochet stitches. So we'll keep going. We wanna make sure we're not twisting that loop. So every time I go into the next one, I can make sure that I'm on this top loop every time. I'm not getting it twisted. Okay, and so I'm at that last stitch before this would be together. Now this tells us not to join on our pattern. So instead of joining here, we're going to single crochet into this loop here. So we're gonna go single crochet, and let's get our stitch marker in there. So that's gonna be the one we come back to every time we add another row. And then we wanna do a double crochet, and the way you do that is you will go ahead and yarn over and then insert your hook. And then you're gonna yarn over again, and now you'll have 3 loops on top of your crochet hook. You wanna yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through those next 2, and that's a double crochet. So then we're gonna do a single crochet. So we go in, we pull through 2, and then a double crochet. So we go around, through, pull through 2, pull through 2. And so now we're alternating single crochet and double crochet. So I'm gonna keep going, and then I'll meet you when we get to 24 inches. Here we are back at 24 inches. So you can see that this is where we measure up to. And so now we have this shape that we're going to finish the end and sew together here. And so that's how we're gonna make it look like our other one, like this. So I'll need to do another row of single crochets. So this whole thing has been alternating single and double crochet that gave us a nice ripply texture. And now we're gonna do a round of single crochets only. So here we go. So we go through and pull through 2. Go through, pull through 2. And do that all the way around. All right, so here we are back to that stitch marker. I'm gonna pull the stitch marker out. So we're gonna pull out what we need to sew, which will give us a good bit of yarn here to sew the end with, and then we'll go ahead and cut that. And we'll pull this extra piece out. Okay, so what I have here at the end, when I made that last stitch, I pulled my yarn through, and so there's no loop here. So now I'm ready to sew those ends together. We're gonna bring these ends together. I'm gonna put them like this first so that I can see. And then I'm gonna squish them in like this. So they're gonna become an S shape. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this end with a rubber band or hair tie. I'm gonna come up this corner of my other piece here. You'll notice I'll need to catch the inside of this piece that's interlocked. Then through the other side of my other end from this side. And then I'm gonna come up right here next to where we pulled that yarn through. And I'm just gonna pull all of this all the way through like that. So that gave us a nice sewn edge on that side. So we'll do that again until we have sewn the whole end together on this side. So I'm just putting my hook all the way up through that sandwich. I'm gonna loop my yarn around and I'm gonna pull it all the way through. And if you need to kind of wiggle it, that might help, or you might need to ease back out and grab the yarn again. And then pull those through. Okay, so now to finish off, you just need a slip stitch that'll hold your yarn. Whoops. That'll hold your yarn in place. And the way you do that is by pulling a loop up through anywhere near the end of your project. And so you have this loop, and then you have your tail here, and you're just gonna grab that tail and pull it through that last loop that you just made. Another trick that you can do, you have this tail at the end, just pull it inside of the headband. And see how I pulled that through the inside of this tube, so it's actually in there. Now when I clip it off, it's inside my headband. And so here's your finished headband.